Hi, good evening. Welcome to the Jon Gaunt Show. An extra show for you today about this 12-year-old girl in Nuneaton who was raped, allegedly, by one Afghan refugee came in on a boat, and indeed by another one who allegedly strangled and choked her, whilst the other one vaginally and orally raped her. 12 years old. But you wouldn't know this unless I was telling you, or unless you read the paper this morning, because the police have covered it up. They've got another reason, but I think it's a bit of a cover up because they were scared of riots. I know Nuneaton well, where this happened. It's not very far away from where I live and where my father used to live, in Nuneaton, Warwickshire. The rape of a 12-year-old by two men who were living in a HMO, house of asylum seekers. That's where they're putting them now instead of hotels. I say Keir Starmer is playing Russian roulette with your children, our daughters, our wives, our girlfriends, and it stinks, and it's got to stop. Are you with me, or are you against me? I need your views today, please. Don't hang about. Put your comments up at the bottom of the YouTube screen. This Jon Gaunt Show, and we're not pulling back on this one at all. It's a full throttle show, and I want your opinions. So are you going to give me them? Simple as that. It's Jon Gaunt. We're talking about this Afghan asylum suspect. Both have now been remanded in custody. Warwickshire Police, though, said don't say anything about it to councillors and officials, but the whistle got blown on this last night by somebody who tipped off the Daily Mail. A rape of a 12-year-old in Nuneaton. I say this has got to go further now. With riots on the street all over the country, although you wouldn't know about it because most of the mainstream media is not reporting it. Likewise, I've looked through the BBC website. They've not mentioned at all this Nuneaton rape of a 12-year-old child. Not at all. So then I thought, well, look on the local BBC Coventry and Warwickshire, a radio website. I used to work there. It was a good station when I was there. Massive audience. It's never got back to that number. However, that aside, no mention of it at all. Why? Are the BBC conspiring not to tell the people of Nuneaton what's going on? And this idea that it could cause a riot, tough shit. Get the police in there to sort it out. And if there isn't, go to Starmer and say, why are you allowing this to happen? Starmer and Yvette Cooper have put these people into hotels. And before them, of course, Rishi Sunak and all the Tory MPs. It's not just Starmer. They've all been playing with us, playing with our kids and our women as if it's a game of Russian roulette. Anyway, good afternoon. It is the Jon Gaunt Show. I'm talking about this shocking story, which is shaking Nuneaton in Warwickshire. It's described in the Daily Mail as a quaint market town. They've obviously never been to Nuneaton. It can be rough in places. My dad lived there for years. But anyway, it's shocking the whole of the UK, or it would be if the BBC reported on it. The reports are saying, and it's been in court, so we don't want to say anything that's not happened, an Afghan asylum seeker has been charged in connection with the rape of a 12-year-old girl, and another one for choking and strangling her while the other one raped her. Now, these are the charges, so we've got to be a little bit careful. Ahmed Mulak Nil, he's 23. He's charged with the rape of the underage girl in Nuneaton in Warwickshire, whilst a second man, Mohammed Kabir, also 23, is charged with aiding and abetting rape, as well as strangulation and kidnap of the girl. The girl is now receiving specialist care. This will cause massive outrage, particularly because the Mail on Sunday have also revealed that local councillors and officials were told by Warwickshire Police, hang your heads in shame. They were told not to mention the ethnicity of the accused. I'm not saying they're guilty. I don't know. I want them to have a trial. However, it's a fact. They are Afghan asylum seekers. The actual rapist, He came in on a boat. He ended up in a house of multiple occupation in Nuneaton, and a street away, his other mate, by the way, his name again, I've just forgotten. I've got it on my phone here. The second guy, Mohammed Kabir, lived in another house full of Afghans in another street. They're not in hotels, this lot, right? But the police have advised local councillors and officials not to reveal the asylum seeker background of the two suspects for fear, and here's the quote, guys, flame community tensions. What a load of bullshit, right? That's two-tier policing. That's two-tier justice. Of course we need to know. And of course we don't want people to riot, although they are rioting all over the country at the moment. And if people in Nuneaton get upset, you can't really blame them, can you? Then you have to police that situation. We don't serve justice by the coppers of Warwickshire actually saying, don't mention it. Shh. Don't mention the child rape. I mentioned it once. I think I got away with it. It's the same as don't mention the war, isn't it? This is wrong. It's two-tier policing. It's two-tier justice. And I'm glad that somebody's blown the whistle on it. So-called community tensions. Now, they're right. People in Nuneaton are tough. People in Nuneaton are hard. And they will have an ex-mining community largely. They will have a real sense of grievance about this. But I'm asking you, is it a police cover-up? Is it yet another example of two-tier policing in the United Kingdom? And while the government also says it now wants to close migrant hotels, guess where they want to move them into? Houses of multiple occupation. What did I tell you just a week or two ago? That's going to be the con trick. They're going to say, oh, look, we've reduced the hotel bill. It's no longer 8 million a day because we've moved them on. But what they won't tell you is they've moved them into shitty little terrace houses next to you or next to your granny. I'm not suggesting that all people who have come in on boats are potential rapists or murderers or villains. Not at all. However, I'm also not suggesting that all of them are rocket scientists and housewives and young kids. They're not, clearly. 25,000 people have come in since Starmer was in control. He was going to smash the gangs or wreck the boats or beat his avocado. I don't know what he was going to do. He's been beating something, that's for sure. But we've now got a 12-year-old girl who allegedly has been raped. There's been other sexual offences as well. I say your government is playing Russian roulette with your daughters, sisters and wives and girlfriends, and it's got to stop, and it's got to stop now. Also, added to this, all the protests outside the so-called migrant hotels, we're going to have a tinderbox. We've got a tinderbox. Started in Epping, it's now gone across the country. You'd hardly know because the mainstream and lamestream media have put some kind of blackout on it. It's a disgrace. My name's Jon Gaunt. This is the Jon Gaunt broadcast. If you want to join in, please just write your comments at the bottom and I'll come to them in a moment. We're talking about these Afghan asylum suspects. We're talking about the rape in Nuneaton, the Nuneaton rape of a 12-year-old girl. She's now having to have special counselling, and no wonder. And I'm now going to say what we need to do. Today, Starmer needs to declare a state of emergency. We need to create secure camps all over the country. And anybody who's got here illegally, they go straight to one of these camps, not to a 4-star hotel in Canary Wharf with squeezy soap. No, straight to an ex-army camp, intense if necessary, close the hotels overnight, make it clear we're no longer El Dorado to anybody else who's thinking of coming. And then, this is the big controversial bit, we need to declare a state of emergency and then not accept any more asylum seekers, refugees, economic migrants. If they arrive at Dover, they get sent straight back to France. Because people say to me, well, where can you send them if they've got rid of their identity? I'm going to send them back to the last country they came through, which happens to be our colleagues in France. Macron don't like it. Tough shit. Let's go to war with him. I mean it in a kind of metaphysical way, metaphorical way. We cannot let this carry on. Britain is on the verge of burning. Starmer needs to do something. It's not all stop. I accept that. But now we need drastic, draconian action. So close the hotels, move them all to these camps. Nobody else allowed in for a period until we sort out the backlog. Now, the backlog is largely down to the Tories. But today, Yvette Cooper, she's made two ridiculous statements. One of which is she's going to cut the backlog. That should ring alarm bells, because you know what they're going to do, don't you? They're going to just lower the standards like they have in the police. Why are the police now? It's like being in an episode of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, isn't it? They just employ anyone, particularly if they're of an ethnic background. Oh, we'll have that person. And they've lowered their standards. And that's what this government, this lousy Labour government under Keir Starmer is going to do. They'll just say, okay, we've granted asylum. Don't believe me? One of my very good friends, in fact, a couple of them, are human rights lawyers. They're involved in this business. And they said to me, it's already happening, John. It's a de facto kind of amnesty. Now, that's wrong on every level. That's wrong on every level, because there are lots of people who want to come to our country, and we want them. And they're applying through the proper methods, and they're not getting in. Whereas if you turn up in a dinghy at Dover, we don't even have to get to Dover. You get halfway across the channel, we pick you up and bring you in a nice boat. They are wrecking our nation. Not the asylum seekers. No, not the illegal migrants. No, the government, your government. They don't know who these people are. They don't know if they're rapists. They don't know if they're rocket scientists. They know sweet FA. So, isn't it logical to say no more for the moment? Put the ones we've got here already in secure camps. Of course, give them the option to go back wherever they came from. Give them the choice of that as well. But let's reduce the numbers massively. And I think we can do it really quickly. I do not want coppers, even chief coppers, organising our immigration policy. That's not their job. Police's job is to police. Also, Yvette Cooper, the other stupid thing she's come up with, last week it was more than 80 people in a boat, we're going to send you to jail, as if that's going to worry you. This week it's, if you advertise that you can get people across the channel, we're going to fine you £5,000. We're going to put you in prison. How? If they're in Turkey. How? If they're in the Middle East. How? It's just not going to happen. It's just more bullshit from the bullshit corporation called the British government. Going on to the police, though. They say that if they revealed who these people were and that they were Afghanis, it would kick off. They may be right. They may be right. I wouldn't bet against it. I know Nuneaton. I know it really, really well, let me tell you. I know the posh parts of Nuneaton, like Whitestone, where my old man lived. And I know the rough-arsed end of it as well. And I know the town centre. It made Coventry almost look like a paradise on a Friday night. There's some good people there. Good, solid, working-class people, though, in Nuneaton. It's got to be said. But they will be upset that their daughters are being targeted in this way. Not by the Afghanis, by their own government. Their own government are putting them in danger. And this is why this broadcast tonight is so important. I'm glad to see we've already got 35 likes. Please keep hitting the like button. I'm glad to see we've got over 200 just on YouTube watching. Please share this now. Share the feed on Twitter or X. Share it on Facebook. Tell people about this show. I met a couple yesterday. I went to see a bit of cricket with my mate Dave. And this guy says, "You're Jon Gaunt." I said, "Yeah." I was a bit suspicious because a bit earlier, a woman had said, "God, you don't half look like Brian Cox." I said, "Brian Cox? What, the astronomer?" She said, "No, you fool. The brilliant Scottish actor." It's because of the beard, I think. I said, "You cheeky cow." I said, "He's 75, 80. But she said, "Oh, yeah, but he's a great actor and he's good looking." Oh, so that's all right then. So then I went outside. I was watching the cricket at Covent North Warwickshire. Great afternoon. But a little bit of alcohol was consumed. And then this other bloke said to me, "Are you Jon Gaunt?" I said, "What do you want?" "I'm not chalky white." You remember that in the papers? "Do you want a prize?" He said, "No, but I love your show. I love your show. I listen every day." And then his wife pops up. "Yeah, I listen as well. And we watch it on the mobile. You're brilliant." I said, "Thank you very much." So then I said, "Have you donated?" And they both went quiet. They said, "No." And she said, "I'm always telling him to give some money to you because you are brilliant." So I've been watching today, you two. It's not happened yet. I might name and shame you later if you're not careful. I'm only pulling your leg. But if you'd like to donate some cash to keep these things going, because we need the alternative media like no other time on earth. And catch this while you can, because no doubt the Stasi will be at my door closing me down because I'm daring to criticise the government. This new online act is using that to close down dissent. So he's bound to try and close me down because I'm criticising him. I'm saying the rape of that 12-year-old, a lot of that lies with Starmer and Yvette Cooper. We've got borders that have got more holes in it than Jamie Oliver's colander. It's a joke. But if you want to donate, going back to that, it's www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. You can either buy a coffee or a beer. It starts at £5. Please help me out. It'd be really good if you would. Met another guy in the pub on Friday. Anyway, he whacked in 25 quid yesterday. I thought, he said, nice talking to you in the pub. I thought, oh, what have I said now? What have I said? But actually, he said, we had a great political discussion. Then I remembered him, a guy called Tom. Thank you very much indeed for your contribution. So if you want to donate, please do it. Right, enough of the begging. Let's move on. Oh, you can also donate by pressing that little $sign down there. Right, I'm going to come to your opinions any second now. What do you think of Nuneaton? What do you think about calling for a state of emergency? What do you think about saying every single migrant must be put in secure detention? I was telling you the week about Warwick. This couple I was speaking to yesterday, they come from Warwick. They said, oh, you see them all walking down from the island. And if you know Warwick, the hotel's on the island where they're staying. And I said, that's because they're not secure. And the lady said, what, they can just come and go as they wish? Like my wife had said the day before. I said, yeah, they can. She said, that's madness, especially as we don't even know who they are. So I'm saying today as well, forget about riots and causing riots as a result of not telling us the information. The police and the judicial system should always put the victims first, shouldn't they? Especially when it's a 12-year-old girl getting raped by two Afghani illegals, allegedly. And I just want to say, I agree with Lee Anderson from Reform and Nigel Farage. It's another cover-up. George Finch, local councillor, he's waded in saying, yesterday I wrote to urge the Home Secretary and the Chief Constable of Warwickshire Police to disclose the immigration statuses of the two men charged in connection with the rape of a 12-year-old girl in Nuneaton on July the 22nd. Here is the mealy-mouthed response. I'm reading it off my phone so I don't get it wrong, from Warwickshire Police. They defend their position saying, in a statement, where relevant, sensitive information around locations, details of the crime and policing activity to catch offenders can be shared, with a warning that this is sensitive or confidential information and disclosure by those being briefed could affect future court hearings. They're using the Starmer Southport excuse. No. Local people have an absolute right to know if they've got HMOs in their area, and then particularly when one of them is alleged to, or two of them alleged to have committed such a heinous offence against the child. Mullakill, who crossed the channel on a small boat, allegedly raped this victim in the Cheverel Street of Nuneaton between 8:30 and 9:45 on Tuesday, July the 22nd. Got arrested 4 days later, appeared before Coventry magistrates on Monday, although no one reported it. Remanded in appeared again before Warwick Crown Court on August the 26th. Kabir, the other one, was arrested on Thursday and charged with aiding and abetting or rape of the 12-year-old. Listen to this bit. As well as strangulation. Now, the form of rape, and I'm sorry to have to be so crude, but you need to know, accused of rape, oral rape, you know what that means, and vaginal rape, and you certainly know what that means. Both of the houses that these people live in are managed by Serco. Serco, the ones, you know, they got that 1.9 billion contract with the Home Office to house asylum seekers. So why I'm saying you should get really mad about Nuneaton, even if you don't live in Warwickshire, is this is going to happen all over the country. They're going to move them out of the hotels, big themselves up, say, oh, yeah, we got them out of the hotels, but they're going to be in houses next to you or in terrace houses next to your mum or your granny. That's where they're going to be. And I'm not suggesting that all rapists. I don't think it's fair on them anyway. I think we need to have them in secure centres, process them quicker. I think Yvette Cooper's all right about that, but not by lowering the standards. Donald Trump has reduced migration from the southern border by 95%. How? By being hard. I'm suggesting to you today that the British people want exactly the same to happen in this country. Are you with me or against me? Let's get on to the subjects, please, as quickly as we can. Unbelievable. 46 likes, thousands of people watching. Tell your friends we're going somewhere. And if you can help me out with a little donation, slip it in now, please. Darren Fowler's our first on tonight. He says the police are scum, not fit for purpose. They're not scum. They're not. I come from a policing family. They're just very different to what they used to be. And this kind of idiocy's got to stop. I mean, that's why I've used, excuse me, I've got to blow my nose. That's why I've used George Dixon of Dock Green, for those of you not old enough to remember. He's the face of policing when we were growing up, and the police were different. My dad was a copper then. They weren't afraid to get out their truncheon and sort out some summary justice. We need that back. And then on the left-hand side, we've got our friends. And George Dixon saying, evening all, which is what I used to always open the programme and close it with. It's ridiculous that we've now got a situation where we can't control it. Darren Fowler then says, vote reform. Well, that might well be the answer. He also says, I'm with you. Right, you've had 3 goes, no more. Let's go to Maggie Young. Most people I talk to are petrified to let the girls and even their boys out at night. It's ridiculous, Maggie. You should feel safe. I put up another tweet earlier today. It's had thousands of retweets. Basically, I've used it before. It's that picture of Starmer electing, and he's saying the first duty of the government is the protection and the security of his citizens. His first duty is the protection of the foreigners, the feckless, the freeloaders. That's who he's looking after, not the decent, silent majority. He has got to go, in my opinion. But what he's got to do before then, look, forget about Cobra meetings for anything else. Israel, and look at the way he's effed that up as well. It's completely effed that up. He's sided with the terrorists. There's a surprise, as an ex-human rights lawyer. Oh, and don't forget, of course, he was in charge of the Crown Prosecution Service, which is about as much use as a chocolate bloody fireguard. However, he should have a Cobra meeting today about the race riots, about the migrant hotels. He should be trying to stop these. He should be talking to local people. Have I missed it? Have I been in a coma this afternoon? Has Yvette Cooper been to Nuneaton today? No. Has Keir Starmer? No. That's mainly because they'd be petrified that they'd get called wankers and told to F off like they were in Southport. Then he'd come on and go, oh, they're all far-right thugs. And then kapow. He'd be responsible again. It's just my view. We need reform now, says Jill Creasy. Well, I just hope they could do it. The police are going to be the cause of an uprising. Why should we put up with 2-tier policing? Things need to change now, says Jackie Ward, who's a regular listener of mine. Jackie, you're right. But when we talk about the police, let's remember we're mostly talking about the top officers, the idiots. We're not talking about the boys in blue. They want to sort these things out, but they're not allowed to. They've got to pussyfoot around it, put their boots on with their rainbow laces, and dance with all sorts of odds and sods. Or is that just me? Sue Hint Vardy. If the police can't do the job, sack them and put the army on our streets to make them safe. Well, we'd like to do that. But how can we do that? We've hardly got anybody left in the army. It's a bit like when I say put the Navy in the Channel. My little nephew's got more boats than the Royal Navy in his bathtub. And I'm hardly exaggerating. But that's what we need, a state of emergency. Close the borders. No one is allowed in. Sort out the beaches, army on the beaches, tow everybody back who comes. Well, don't even let them get here. We know when you get to that 12-mile thing out of France, and the French are saying, oh, get them on the boat and just take them back to France. If the French want to argue about it, we'll fight them on the beaches, metaphorically speaking. That's what we'll do. And Keir Starmer, you shouldn't be on the beaches now or in your Tuscan luxury villa, you pathetic amoeba of a man. You should be here sorting this out and talking to the people of Nuneaton who've had one of their daughters raped on the streets. Mark Bradshaw, the more they stop revealing their identity, the more we know who they are. It's not rocket science. You're dead right, Mark. They were quick enough to tell all when the idiot ran people over in Liverpool. Oh, yeah, they're always quick at that, aren't they? So white, extremists, or whatever. Yeah, you're right. It's two-tier justice. We've got two-tier media. BBC, the BBC, why haven't they got this on the website as a story? I'm not saying it should be number one story, but why isn't it there? BBC Coventry and Warwickshire, hang your heads in shame. It used to be a great station. Why aren't you going it as your number one story? There's been a rape of a 12-year-old in Nuneaton, which is in your patch. Huh? You're not fit to wipe the spit off my microphone. Any of you who work there, you're scum as well. The police are useless. They never helped me out when I needed them. Well, I don't know about that, David, but there we are. WTF, what the F, says Otto Pilcher. I think he must be talking about this story. Another 4 years of this crap. What do you see happening in that time, John, says Chris Merrin-Rindle. Well, because of these new laws, I've got to be careful what I say there. I think I do know what's going to happen. But I don't see Starmer. Let's put it this way. Don't think he can send me to prison for this. I don't think Starmer will last the next 4 years. But the Labour government might just like the Conservatives. They'll go through a whole load of leaders, ending up with a lettuce, and then have a general election. And then we'll vote another load of bozos in. Or maybe people will vote for reform. Let's have your views on that, please. Simon John Patrick Evans, you can take it for granted now, those who's involved when identities are without. Oh, I understand what you mean. You're saying when they don't tell you who it is, you can you assume it's an immigrant. And that's terrible, isn't it? Because what about all the great immigrants who have come here and have contributed to our society? See, I'm not anti-immigration. I'm all for well-controlled immigration, Simon, probably like you. But it's not been managed for ages. It's just a terrible state we're in. We are the nation that repelled Adolf Hitler. Who do you think you are kidding, Mr. Hitler? If you think we're on the run. Dum, bum, 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 bum. Yeah, we did that with a bunch of old fellas. That's what happened. And we secured our borders. And our women folk worked in our factories so our men could fight to liberate people like France, who then have just constantly betrayed us. That's how great our nation is. That's how great our nation is. And that's why we should wrap ourselves in the flag, in my opinion. Harry Howard, the police are on the other side. The government are on the other side. But the people are united. That's an interesting point. Thank you very much for it. Simon's back. He said, we need this government out immediately. The king should intervene in this emergency. Well, yeah, again, that's... people say that, but he's not going to do it, is he? He's not going to do it. Nosy Cow says 29 watching. I don't think so. Have a look at the screen now. Maybe that's just you on YouTube. You've got to look at the total number. But if you're here just to slag me off, tell you what I'm going to do. Here we go. I don't need you. Bye. Ban user. He's banned. Let's have some proper people. Robert Boyle on YouTube. He says prison camps are required. I agree. Totally. I agree. Police are cowardly, he says on his second one. Thank you, Robert. Again, I didn't want to turn this into a let's slag the police off. It's the politicians who direct them. And I don't just want it to be a Starmer hate fest either. He's just the latest idiot without a spine who can't control our borders. Chris Wintle makes a very good point. Tony Blair started this mass migration. Yes, he did. You're absolutely right. With the Polish plumbers and the rest of it. He did. I can't argue with that. But a lot of them came in illegally. This is all illegal we're talking about. Too many people getting rich off the taxpayers' back. They'll only stop when it's too late, says Paul Roboton on Facebook. Good point. The police are there to protect the state, not us, says SH on YouTube. Well, I can see where you're coming from with that, but that breaks my heart because the police are there. And when I represented the police union during the Plebgate thing, they had this little saying which The police are society, society are the police, or something like that. I've got it wrong, but a copper will email in a minute and put me right. And it's right. The police should be part of the community. It's been fundamentally different, I think, ever since Orgrave, isn't it? It's in the miners' strike, where the police were used more as a political weapon. I think that's a sadness, personally. But the police do come from the same working class as the people who... I don't know if you saw Martin Daubney's show on GB News on Friday. It was amazing. He was from Sunderland and he was in a working men's club. These were traditional Labour voters, all saying they wouldn't essentially wee on Keir Starmer if he was on fire. They hated him. And I think that's the whole thing about Starmer. Everybody hates him. It's not even logical anymore. You say, what do you think of Keir Starmer? Ooh, light blue touch paper and retire. He's finished. Absolutely finished. Robert Boyle says we need harsh prison camps. They are illegal. That would deter them. I agree with you entirely, my friend. Entirely. The problem is, a lot of people won't like that. I've had people today on Twitter, one guy in particular, saying the majority of rapists in the UK are white. Well, duh, you dumb, thick, liberal idiot. The majority population in the UK is white. So therefore that will be the case, but not per capita. But you probably don't understand that. And why do you want to demean or reduce the fact that a 12-year-old girl has, I have to keep saying allegedly, but she's been raped, not necessarily by them, because we don't know. That bit is alleged until there's been a court case. But why do you want to demean that? We know there's loads of white rapists. I despise them. I'd string the bastards up by the goolies as well. It's not about race. It's about people raping girls and young women. And I'll go further than that. If it turns out that these men are guilty, they've done it because they've been able to get into our country. If they weren't, I know that's a bit of a simplistic argument, you uber liberal, but it's probably true. Chris Wintle says, be interesting to hear what Zara Sultana says on this issue. She's only interested in power, mate. That's all she's after. David Freeman says, this is pretty local on Facebook. Don't really understand that, but there we are. Blame the British government for the invasion and British people for being quiet, says Mo Sahib. I think that's a fair point, Mo. Not just this government, previous governments as well. 58 likes, 309 people just watching on YouTube. Thank you. Hi, John. I totally agree with you. Did you see the video of the White House official? Social media of immigrants getting out of transport, going on a plane, advertising a Jet2 holiday with the music. Yeah, I did see that. But Craig, try and write it so I understand what you're saying. I understand because I've actually seen it, but yeah. Where we go next? Oh, good mate of mine. He's contributed a lot, not just money. This guy gave me the lights so you can see me. Adam Cowming, good lad. Protecting the guilty in Nuneaton. People in the area are talking about this horrible situation. Well, I know you live over that way, Adam, and you know as well as me, Nuneaton people, North Warwickshire people, I wouldn't mess with them. I really wouldn't mess with them. Ex-mining stock, a lot of them. Salt of the earth. They are not happy. They will not be happy about this. But you see, this is the point. Labour in particular are putting these people into houses of multiple occupation in those areas. They're not living next to Keir Starmer, are they? The only trouble he's got is 3 Ukrainian male models who seem to know what his car was and where he lived. And they firebombed it. But we have to wait for the court case. They're on remand as well. We're in a dreadful state. And that's why I'm saying, recall Parliament. State of emergency immediately. Navy in the Channel, Army on the beach, no more immigrants at all, legal or illegal. Just the clampdown. Put them in secure tents, camps, in tents. Close the border, close the gates, they can't go out. Bring in the human rights lawyers, speed up the process, decide who can stay, or if they've got a particular skill that we need. If not, bye. Bye. Stelios, chocks away. Captain Pugwash, anchor, weigh anchor, whatever that is. Off you go. Are you with me or again me? We need our own constables, local volunteers and local militias. Volunteers from the local area. Well, Robert, I can understand where you're coming from on YouTube, but you've got to be careful with talk like that. Got to be careful. Anyone donated? I've not had a donation on YouTube today. Why not? How much harder do I need to work? It's Sunday afternoon. It's boiling hot. It's an extra show. I gave you all those interviews last week with great people, great guests. And we've got some great guests coming up this week as well. Thank you for all the kind words about the set piece interviews. You seem to like them as much as you like the ranting shows. So we're going to do both. Can't be long. Can't be long before Gaunt is back fully, surely. Check out and read carefully a petition to the UK government and Parliament, repeal the Online Safety Act. It's currently got 484,544 signatures. Be sure to sign it and reshare it widely. All right, Clive, I will read that out. I don't normally read out people pushing something else, but that's on the agenda. The Online Safety Act is terrifying. It's like living in North Korea. If you don't agree with Keir Starmer, then you're buggered. You messed up. You've got to be careful, haven't you, what words you use nowadays. Britain can easily lend boats and use soldiers to man them. The civilians should protect the beaches, or retake control of our government and reinstall what was. What was. I know I'm naive to even dream it. DDRC. Yeah, what we need is quadrophenia. We need the mods and the rockers back on the beaches, but instead of fighting each other or repelling the invaders. I'm only joking. Of course, I don't mean that. Blue Driver 10. Country's gone to pot now, John. Well, yeah, but if we just talk like that, we'll never stop anything. Robert Boyle, you're just going on and on and on about the king. It's boring. It's not going to happen. So let's all just forget the king intervening. Yeah, let's forget that. It's irrelevant. England is cooked. The people gave it away. No, I don't know about that, Cassell. Stop the smuggling. I think that's a fair point. He certainly has. 312. Gaunt is back. I hope you've stayed with me during that technical hitch. Computer overheating. It's not they can't control the borders. They don't want to. It's all about the pound, says Alan Welch. Just tell me, can you see me now again? If you can, that's good news. Just put a little note up on my screen for me. Thank you very much indeed. Where are we next? This government are now the enemy of the people. Well, I'm not sure about that. We need to take action for ourselves, with local men organising safety patrols in their neighbourhoods as they're doing in Ireland. Yeah, I understand that. But again, the problem then, we get into vigilantism. We pay enough for our police and our politicians to protect us, don't we? That's what's got to happen, surely. Catherine Roberts, do you think Labour government would win another election in the next 10 years? Do I think the Pope's a Catholic? That's a ridiculous question. Of course not, Catherine. They're done. They're finished. They're finished. But then so are the Tories, which is why he'll probably end up as Prime Minister, Mr. Farage. The judge that lets them off will not live much longer. Well, he hasn't let anybody off yet. That's a ridiculous statement. They deserve a fair trial, don't they? Of course they do. I had 60-odd likes. It's now gone to 27. I don't know what's going on here. I hope you can still hear me. Clifford Hammered. No, I read that one. What's that? I've signed up for Ben's new party. Hopefully Rupert Lowe will be part of it too, says Tracy Gaunt, no relation. Interesting, Tracy. I see Tommy Robinson has joined Ben's party too. You may have a comment on that. Feel free. Where are we next? Maggie Young. Remember our park wardens. They looked after the children. We need them back. Yeah, we need them on border control, I think. Jackie Ward says, you're back, Gaunty. Yes, I am. I am sorry about that technical problem. I do apologise, but I am here now, and we're just about to finish now. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who's joined in today. I will be back tomorrow, Monday, at my normal time of 6:30. So if you want to join in, then you can. If you want to watch this on replay, the best way is to go to my YouTube channel, which is Jon Gaunt TV, and subscribe. It's free to subscribe. Then you get notice of all the shows that I'm doing. You also get access to the archive and the podcasts and the rest of it, all completely free. But if you really like what I'm doing, why don't you donate a few bob just by pressing that $ now and chucking in a fiver, a few quid, whatever you can afford to keep this independent broadcasting going. It would be really helpful and very much appreciated. Likewise, after the show, feel free to go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt and donate anything from a £5 upwards. Can I thank all of you who are supporting me, either financially and morally, by telling people about it? The more you tell people, the more we get watching. Therefore, the algorithm begins to like us, and so it goes on. I know how well we're doing because I listen to shows and watch other shows, and I hear people not only nicking my ideas of how to approach the subject, but also quite a few of my expressions. You know what they say, though? Imitation, even if it's poor, is the sincerest form of flattery. Thank you for joining in today. I'm back tomorrow at 6:30. There's Jackie Ward. Wouldn't be a show without you, Jackie, giving me 3 love hearts. And Maggie has given me the claps again, Maggie Young, and then she says, good luck, Sky Blues, this season. Thank you, Maggie. Although I watched them yesterday in that friendly, boring. Why do we watch friendlies? Tedious. Absolutely tedious. Anyway, I'm sure they'll do better next week against Hull City. I'm off. If you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, hey, hey. Don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.